have officially done it. We are not at that $1 million milestone yet, but we are a quarter of a way there. Yes, you see this number. This is not fake. $250,000 and $89.12. The 12 cents is very important. You can do a lot with 12 cents in this economy. You can buy candy and perhaps other things as well. This is a major milestone, and you might be wondering, well, a week ago, he was only at $246,000. So how do we get to this $250,000 milestone is exactly what we'll be covering in this week's video. And I will also take this hat off for the rest of the video because I think it is meant for children, and as you can see, I am not a child. Well, the number one thing that helped me get to this milestone was the stock market. Investing in successful businesses already being used by millions of people is, in my opinion, the average person's ticket to financial freedom. As you can see, this portfolio has now returned me $43,000 for the year. $43,000 is a second full-time job. Imagine you're working a second full-time job on top of your full-time job to achieve financial freedom. It's up more than $2,000 since the last time we talked, and I contributed $1,000 more because I really believe in the long-term success of the stock market. And here's why. If you look at the 5-year return of the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies in the United States of America, you'll come to this number of 100%. That is correct. If you had put $100,000 at the start of 5 years, you would have had $200,000 today. If you had put $500,000, you'd be a millionaire today for doing literally nothing. It doesn't matter how you start or where you start. The most important thing is to start. The markets are at an all-time high, and I understand that. But take it from me, the average person like myself doesn't know much about the intricacies of what makes a successful company. Investors like Warren Buffett and other billionaires spend their entire lives studying the stock market, and even they can only beat it by 10% on average every single year. And some years, even Warren Buffett loses to the stock market. So the best bet is to buy ETFs or exchange traded funds in these indices. I talked about the S&P 500. We look at some other ones like the NASDAQ 100. This is up even more at around 135%. If you live in Canada, for example, like I do, you can also invest in the TSX 60, which is also up roughly 80 to 90%. Plus dividends. And once again, this is extremely passive. I buy this every single week, no matter if the stock market is doing well or if the stock market is going down. The last few weeks have been incredible and have led me to this $250,000 milestone. Starting out is extremely easy. Just search the name of your country plus ETF plus how to invest in the stock market and type enter, and you'll see a bunch of brokers that you can use as well. The only tip with this is you need to keep buying no matter what the price. Let's look at myself as an example. I've been buying VFE or this Vanguard ETF that tracks the S&P 500 at 160. I also bought this when it was 90. I don't really care about what the price is because I'm looking at the long-term time horizon. I'm looking at the 10, 15, 20-year chart. Just pull out the charts and you'll see for yourself that this is going up 10% on average for the last 20, 30, 40 years. There's no other investment in the entire world that can go up 10% on average for 30 or 40 years. Even real estate cannot do that. It goes up on average 5% every year. Plus, it is extremely illiquid. You need a large down payment. And if you want to sell, you'll have to wait sometimes years to sell. Let's look at the Canadian real estate market or even the US real estate market in the last few years. It's been extremely stagnant. Houses like this, apartments like this have been sitting on the market for years, at least months, if not years, looking for a buyer. And the buyers are simply not there. For the stock market, that is simply not the case. If you decide that it is too risky for you, you can press sell the same day and you can get all of your money back probably within one business day. I do this every single week. I'm going to keep on doing this every single week. If I contribute not a single dollar ever again to this portfolio, it's going to grow to $1 million, and I'll show you how. This is a drip calculator or a dividend reinvestment calculator that I have opened up. I'll input the numbers for my portfolio here. We're starting off with $250,000. I'm going to assume I'm going to contribute nothing ever again. We're going to put 20 years here. So by the time I'm in my mid-40s, having a midlife crisis, maybe buying a Lamborghini, maybe going to suspicious countries to meet suspicious people. And we're going to input a growth rate of around 8%, which is lower than the historical average, but let's just say 8%. My dividend yield right now is 3.8%. And let's assume the dividend doesn't grow much, just 2% on average. And you'll see after 20 years, I'll have more than $1 million. Just because I stayed consistent and contributed consistently. If I stop now, I'm theoretically a millionaire already, but we're going to fast track that. I don't want to wait 25 years. And this is what I'm doing to fast track it. The second big part of becoming wealthy is finding out ways to generate money through businesses or other income streams. Entrepreneurship is risky, setting up a business is risky, but there's online businesses that we can do as average people that are lower risk, and don't require a lot of upfront capital. The one that I like the most is freelancing. Freelancing is an industry that is growing rapidly at a growth rate of around 20% per year for the next 10-15 years. Employers in the US and Canada, other countries as well, are cutting down on full-time employment costs, especially with AI, and preferring contract or project-based work. And this is where we can come in and fill that niche. Freelancing is hard, I understand that, but I've made thousands of dollars in the past few years through this particular method, and I'm going to detail exactly how. Even this week, I made more than $100 for roughly 1.5 hours of work. That is more per hour wage than I get at my full-time job, and that is more per hour wage that you would get at a full-time job in most countries. This is exactly how I did it. The first step is figuring out a niche. The niche has to be something that you're good at. If you're not good at anything or don't know what to start with, I'm going to leave a link in the description. This link highlights what Upwork, one of the biggest freelancing platforms, thinks are easy jobs for beginners. This is not me saying this, don't trust me. This is a platform that's dealt with freelancers and has been providing services for a long time. Pick something from this or something that you're actually good at, but just pick a niche. Don't try to sell everything. You're not going to be good at everything. Just pick something that you can dedicate time to get good at. Keep in mind, most of these do not require a full-time degree. Most of these do not require years and years of experience to get started. The second step is actually setting up an account and posting the services. This is something that I don't know why people don't do. You have nothing to lose here. Just set up an account and put up a service. It's even if you get no orders, that is not the point. Just set up an account and put up a service. For example, if you are a writer and you want to sell stories, you want to write stories for people under 500 words, just say, I will write a story for you under 500 words. That is it. It doesn't matter if you get orders or not at this particular moment. Just take whatever successful freelancers are doing in your niche and copy that. Yes, it sounds bad, but that is exactly what's working. So take inspiration from it. Give your own twist, of course, but make sure you take advantage of these already successful people because what they're doing works. Once you've done that, the next step and the most important step is pricing low. I'm going to use myself as an example again. I priced at $5 when I started, even though the services I was giving were valued way more than that. I generated way more in value, but I knew that at the start, I have no reviews. If you have no reviews, why would I sign up with you as a client? I have this guy also designing logos that has 10,000 reviews and you have 0. Why would I go with you if there's this already vetted person? And this is where we have to use price to our advantage and price low. And the lowest possible is $5. If you could do it for free, I would recommend that, but that's just not possible on Fiverr.com or Upwork. So just price at $5. And the third step is staying patient. I had to wait a long time to make decent money doing this, but the last few weeks, the last few months have been extremely good because I stayed patient. I gave it at least a year to kick in, and now I'm able to make at least $50 to $60 every time I execute an order. And that order takes me an hour or two. I know these 3 steps are extremely simplistic, but this is exactly what I did to make more than $100 this week and thousands of dollars in the last year. There's nothing more to it. There's no course you need. There's no YouTuber you need to listen to. No secret sauce. There's no SEO. There's just these 3 basic main steps that you need to follow and you will see impressions. Now, it is up to you to execute and actually be successful in the orders that you give because that is how you'll get clients. I'll leave that up to you to make sure that your communication is good, your orders are good. But in order to get orders, this is exactly what you need to follow. And I'll give it to you. I have given it to you all for free. The stock market is amazing. Freelancing is good. Businesses are great. But the third thing I'm going to use from now to boost this growth is leverage or debt. People talk about leverage a lot and how rich people use leverage to make tons of money. And it's true. Credit and debt in general can be used to finance your growth in terms of wealth if you use it correctly. And now I think I'm at a position at $250,000 where I can slowly start to take advantage of this leverage as well. And here's what I mean. I can borrow against my portfolio. This is something that's called margin investing. Essentially, your broker, your bank, or a brokerage, if you use a brokerage firm like Robinhood, gives you a loan to invest. What's in it for them is the interest that they earn. For example, my broker is Wealthsimple. They give me a margin loan at 4.7% interest, which means if I borrow $1,000, I will owe them $47 in interest. But we can take advantage of this if we believe the return rate for that loan is going to be more than 4.7%. If you look at the history of the stock market grows at an average of 10% per year. So I can pocket the difference if the stock market does do well. Even if it doesn't do well, I can still make some money. This is extremely risky, and I'm going to have a lot of disclaimers here, a lot of sounds, and a lot of red things flashing on the screen. This is risky. You can lose your money as well. In a bad year, if the stock market goes down 10%, you're gonna owe $47 plus you're going to owe $100 more in that $1,000 example because the stock market went down, but you still have to repay that $1,000. So your losses can be magnified in leverage as well if you over leverage. This is why my strategy for now is going to be starting out slow. I'm only going to take out $8,000 in leverage. My portfolio is $250,000, so that's not even 5% of my portfolio, but this is exactly how I want it. I want to start out low and gradually build up. And what I'll invest in is the S&P 500, the biggest index in the world with the biggest companies and the biggest future potential growth rate. Plus, to pay off some of this interest, I'm going to invest in covered call ETFs that are going to help me with monthly payments. I'm going to invest in this ETF HDIV for two reasons. Firstly, this is going to help me diversify. This is a Canadian-based index investing in Canadian companies. So if the US stock market has a slight correction, the Canadian market is not perfectly correlated to that. So I anticipate there being some sort of low correlation here and me not losing all of my money. And secondly, this has a great dividend yield at around 11%, which is going to help me pay off that interest. Of course, I'm not going to invest all of my money in this. I'm planning to do a 50-50 split, 50% growth, 50% HDIV, pay the interest and pocket the growth. That's going to be my strategy going forward. Margin is risky. It's the riskiest thing I've done in this journey so far, but you don't have to do it. There's tons of risk-free methods to make extra money as well. One of the ones that I've highlighted a lot of times on this channel, something I've used to make thousands of dollars before, is user research. User research is essentially when you help out companies improve their products or services. Just a week ago, I made $350 doing this. Literally next week, I have an appointment for 30 minutes with a company that's going to pay me $30, which is around 40 something Canadian dollars. It's insane that you can get paid this much simply for giving your opinions. The three sites I like the most are user testing, user interviews, and Prolific. Sign up, all you need is an email, and you also need to give them some basic information about yourself. The more information you give, the more surveys you get. They can range from $10 all the way up to $90. And on user interviews, you can get some nutty surveys that pay you $350 as well. I'll leave a link in the description for user interviews and user testing, my two favorite sites, and also Prolific, why not, just so that you can get started. I only recommend these three because these three are vetted. They're the best bang for your buck. You don't have to make accounts on these three if you don't want to. These are just three that I've personally used, and I've personally made thousands of dollars through these. So they're vetted, they work. Just get started. So that's it, $250,000 finally achieved. And you know what? I'm gonna put on this hat again. I know this has been a long journey for me since I started work to now, just being consistent and seeing this portfolio grow, investing in times and putting my money in the market in times where it wasn't doing so well and there was so much doom and gloom out there. But just remember this one thing. Rich people love money, and how they make money is through investing and businesses. If you can attach yourself to their businesses, there's a high probability you'll end up making money in the process as well. And at the same time, we're going to be exploring other ways to make money through businesses and generating more cash flow. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something as well, and let me know how far you're in your journey. There's a lot of scammers online, a lot of people flaunting wealth and trying to sell you courses, sell you Discord communities. I don't have any of that. I'm just very average guy trying to make some money and grow wealth, of course. I'll see you next week.